everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We've got crazy weather outside. It's hosing down with rain, and we're supposed to get like 110 mil by 1 a.m. peaks of like 15 to 20 mil of rain at a time. So I'm working inside the garage here. It's full of all sorts of stuff, including this new little gem here. So this is a 98 Nissan Sunny. It's a direct import from Japan. You can always tell it's a direct import from Japan because it'll have a steel number plate or information plate like that, and it'll be in Japanese. So that's how you can tell. Also, all of the caution stickers are in Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. But I'm selling this car on behalf. They were gonna send it to the shredder and get maybe 75 bucks for it. And it's a tidy little car. It would be the same as a Nissan Sentra. It's a 4-door. It's got power steering, power brakes, power windows, power doors. Air conditioning works. It's an auto. The seats don't have any tears in them. The headliner's in good shape. And it's due for a warrant, which is similar to a safety certification. On a car of this age, it has to be done every 6 months. It's like 50 bucks. They don't even take the wheels off. They roll it over like a rolling road, check the brake resistance, and if the brake resistance from any tire is different than the opposite tire on that axle, they say there's a problem with your brakes. They're actually not allowed to undo the lug nuts during a warrant of fitness, so they have to either manually inspect them from the inside. If there's dust cover, which most of them have on disc brakes, they do the rolling road test. But they go over basic stuff. It's like a 30-point inspection. And for this one, they had talked about front tires on the last warrant, so it's all in the system. When they bring it up again, they'll say, oh, we told you the front tires. They're going to check the front tires. And so I threw two cheapo Chinese tires on the front. I threw a set of wheel covers for 36 bucks on this bad boy. And I had to clean the lenses. So those are brand fresh and redone. I used the Turtle Wax lens clarifying compound. It's a whole kit. It's actually a pretty slick little kit. It was 52 bucks on sale. Looks like that. Available everywhere in the world, I'm sure. And it comes with this clarifying compound, and sometimes if you just got a bit of yellowing, this is all you need to do is rub this on there. It's like a cut and polish kind of stuff. And then you use you buff it off with the pad, and then it comes with a base coat that you wipe on, and a clear coat that you wipe on. But if it's super pitted or whatever, then you get 4 stages of sanding pads, and you get this spray lubricant. And it's super easy. If you need to do this, you just start at 1 and you go through to 4. And as you're doing it, as long as you keep it wet, you can actually feel it getting smoother and smoother and smoother as you get to 4. And then once you got both lights sanded, and then you do another of the lens clarifying compound, the cutting compound, after you've done the sand. You wipe it clean, and then you use the base coat and the clear coat wipes. And you do both headlights at the same time, because you only have one base coat wipe and one top coat wipe. So you do base coat on the other light, and then as soon as that's dry, you do the top coat, and then you let it sit. And you got to do that out of the sun, because if you get any UV on there, that's what turns it yellow, is the UV degrades the plastic, but it oxides it only on the outside, so you can always bring it back to clear. So they had noted that on the last warrant, so I've done that. I've done the tires, so technically this thing should pass a warrant. I got one headlight low beam that's out that I'll change tonight, and the third eye, like the high center brake in the back, brake light is out. Super cheap, but what they had complained about, why they figured it was not worth trying to sell and just going to take it to the wreckers, there was an oil leak wherever they parked. Well, it was leaking from the cam cover or rocker cover, depending on what country you're in, and it always leaks right here. These are the recesses in the head so that you can access the end bolt for the cams, and the gasket has these little drop down dealies, and they get super hard from the heat. You can barely squeeze that anymore. This is the new one, and it's nice and soft and pliable, and that's where they're always going to leak, because they've got a fastener here and a fastener here and nothing pushing in that middle, because obviously it's concave like that. So I'll show you a little secret when you put these back in. This one also has a rise here on this side for the distributor. That's how the distributor goes in, right down here. And these are always, whenever you have something that goes from the flat plane to a hump like this, or a recess like that, that's where it's gonna leak every time. The other one that's interesting on this little guy is there's a port that comes up in the head right here, and there's a gasket, the corresponding gasket that goes right here on the rocker cover, and they supply you with a new one like this. And what I noticed is the old one here, I couldn't even get off. I had to pry it off. Normally you can just pop these off, and it was so dry and cracked and brittle, and so I mean that was just bound to start leaking at some point. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this rocker cover back in place. When you're pulling these guys out, these are your they go in down to your spark plugs, your spark plug wires. If they're not easy to determine where they go, make sure you mark them so that you don't forget that, because putting them in the wrong order, not gonna run. But these ones are short to long, so it's super easy. This is a small little twin cam 4-cylinder. It's super good motor, like bulletproof. It's got timing chain, as you can see right here. So, I mean, the myth is with timing chain, we never have to do maintenance and timing chain never breaks, and that's true. It doesn't mean that a timing chain doesn't stretch. It just doesn't break and cause catastrophic failure. But if you notice that your car is starting to do really weird things, it's got like 300,000 K on it, and you're changing sensors and the computer just doesn't seem to be getting what's going on, chances are your timing chain is actually stretched so far that the tensioners can't take up that slack anymore, and that's causing the computer to start reading things incorrectly. But I mean, that's only super high mileage. This car has got 220,000 K on it, and they were gonna get $75 for it. I'm gonna throw $300 at it, get a warrant on it, and I should get $1,800 for this car all day long. It's a great first car, and it's a great commuter car. The thing barely drinks fuel, and it's one of those things where you spend $1,800 on a car, and you bump it into the curb, or you scrape the side of the building, or something happens. You don't have to care so much, so it's a great first car for somebody learning how to drive. It's an auto, so it's super easy, but and it's actually got quite a bit of power. I was surprised for the size of the motor that's in there. So it's a Nissan GA engine series. So super tight little motor, have them in tons of different cars. I'm gonna go ahead and fasten this rocker cover back down, and catch you in a second. So the trick with keeping these from leaking once they get hard is putting a bit of RTV high temp gasket goo right over that hump and then down around the corner. You don't have to do the whole thing, because it just gets messy, but you see I've done around the corner here, and then I've done through that recess, around the bolt hole, and then through the recess again and around the corner. And so that's gonna squish nicely into this groove here on both of these bits on the gasket, because this is where it's gonna fail, right? And they don't do that in the factory because they couldn't be bothered to spend the time to do that. And it's not gonna get hard within the warranty period, so they don't really care. But if you're doing this because it's leaking, always do that. I mean, that's standard issue when you're doing a V8 and you're putting the intake manifold in. They give you the stupid little, the cork gasket that goes on the bottom edge of the valley, and you always goo that because it always leaks there. And the last thing you want to do is have to take it apart again. So I'll finish this up. This rocker cover's got a groove that this gasket nicely fits in, and it's nice and snug, so it's easiest to put it in there first because then you know it's seated properly. And then the rest of this here, it's easy because there was no goo on anything. You just kind of wipe it clean so there's no debris or anything. If there is anything sticking up, then just wipe that off, but scrape it off with a screwdriver or whatever you need. But I'll get this back together. So we got the rocker cover all back together. You can see down here, these are seated nicely into their respective slots. It's just got Phillips head screws that hold it down. There's 6, 8, 10 of them in total, and just out of good practice I start in the middle. I get them all just snug, then start in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, snug them down, and then in the middle here, snug that, and then outside, same over here, middle, outside, and then I'll just go around and do them all. They weren't torqued very tight at all. Like when I took them off, they just spun right out, but I got them pretty much as tight as you'd want to get with a screwdriver before stripping the heads. And so that's all back together. These are super easy. They just pop right out like that, and then you just pop them right back in. And a couple of breathers on either side, and then this is the throttle cable here. Change the headlight, that works good, and that's just a standard. Is this ring here? You gotta turn a quarter turn, and then the plug-in is real stupid. It's got these little tabs on either side you gotta push in, and then once you get that all off, there's a rubber dust cover in there that you take off, and then the lights in behind that. The third eye in the back, the high center brake light, this is the socket for the bulb, and this is the bulb that's meant to go in there. When I put it in there, it was all super loose and didn't connect. So I popped this guy off. It's got just a socket, like a socket connector. And you can see inside there, those little prongs right in the bottom, that's what holds it in and makes connection. So what I did was I took this tiny little pokey deal thing here. I guess it's a Phillips screwdriver. And I went in there and just tweaked those, let me see if I can hold this and then show you. Whoa. Of course it's not going to focus. So you just come in here and you just push those over a little bit. See it move in there? Just to snug them up. And then once I did that, then this guy goes in there nice and easy. Pops right in there, held nice and tight. Stick that back together. And this car is ready for its warrant of fitness tomorrow. This is where the third eye is in here. And then it's got this little, here, let's see if we can prop that up. So it's got a little plug in like that. Whoop! And then that goes under this ugly big plastic thing. Just a quarter turn, it goes in, yeah, right in there, and just a quarter turn, and then this is like supposed to snap in or something like that. So that's done. And so now you can see when I press the brake on the back there, oh, look at all that awesome brake light action. So that's that. The Nissan Sunny is ready to go. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave some comments if you want to, and we'll catch you next time.